All right, you guys, it's time to talk about the main image, most important part of your listing. All right, so uh, what are your thoughts on the main image, Anthony?
Main image is super important. If there's one thing that you really need to get right, it's your main image. This is what is going to, hopefully, if it's done well, if people are searching through page one, it's supposed to draw their eyes to your listing and then convince them to actually click into your listing. So then like half of the battle with making the sale is pretty much done. Now you just have to convince them on your listing to go and make that purchase. So what we're looking for with the main image is, a couple of different things. Number one is you want an image that is eye-catching. So as much as you can, like if you have a product, um, you really want to compare your main image against what your competitors are doing and figure out a way to make it look different. So if everyone is shooting their product, and the cool thing about the main image is you can test this, right? It's always very easy to go and create a main image that's similar to your competition because you can just go and replicate the exact same thing. But then if you have something that's slightly different, then we can, it's a good opportunity where you can make it look a little bit different, and then you can A/B test that to see what actually converts better. So
So we're
yeah, I mean, we're
actually
looking.
in real time looking at some horse masks here. So what are your thoughts on these main images to illustrate your point? So I guess the thing that sticks out to me right here is this head. This guy, he kind of sticks out a little bit. But
Mhm.
let's see, anything that you like or don't like on these main images? I mean, they're all pretty much the same thing here.
Right, yeah, they're pretty similar. And so if you're in a well-established category like this, I would just try doing a bunch of different things. For me personally, I think if it's like a clothing product like this, and you could do either the product by itself or the product with a model, I think you should try to go with using the product with a model. Now, normally in terms of Amazon TOS, sometimes they're not okay with that. But it seems like in fashion and clothing products, and they seem to be more okay with it because obviously, if I buy the horse head, then the guy, behind it
The
is
guy
probably
doesn't
not going to
come
come
with
to
it.
hell with it.
I don't know. I want
Usually
that.
not.
That guy.
Maybe. But so just a couple, and just looking at this, a couple of ways, a couple of ways I think would be really easy to dress up this main image, Brock, if you could scroll back out, would be, so if I've got the model, so having the model do kind of a unique pose, I think is kind of interesting. You've got the one guy, is going like this, maybe you have someone dabbing. But the other thing is think about what the
Oh yeah,
clothes,
nobody's dabbing.
think also about what the clothes that your models are wearing, right? I see everyone pretty much in a dark colored shirt, right? I'd love to see it,
Oh,
what about in a white colored shirt, right? So even if I have a black horse head, it's going to contrast a little bit to the horse head. I can see the arms. Something that works well is sometimes orange or green, just drawing in. You'll see this a lot. Like we do a lot of posture correctors. We've seen those, it's quite common for a product that's, been sold. And so you'll see people that, maybe they've got a guy model and they've got a girl model. And then, maybe the girl's wearing an orange top and then the guy is wearing a blue top. And so, that's just basic graphic design that orange and blue are complementary colors. So I might want to look and see if my product itself is black, obviously a complementary color to that might be white. But instead of going for just a white shirt, maybe it's a version of white, or it's a light blue or a light orange or something like that. If the mask is brown, like go and look on the color wheel. What's the opposite brown? What's the opposite to brown, or something similar to that, just to build some contrast in your eye. It sounds really unimportant, but your eyes are going to be drawn to those kind of color combinations before, if it's all just washed out with a two dark colors.
oh yeah, it's extremely important the color scheme of it and how you use your white space and not like you've got to look at that front page and see what actually sticks out. So yeah, so what you would you suggest that if we had a model here that we would have them wearing something very sticking out, maybe like a bow tie or a tie or something like like what are your ideas here?
Yeah, I mean the bow tie, that might be a little bit of gray area because they might think that that's a prop that
Oh,
reasonably could be included. But I mean, but it still could work. Here's the one thing I will say about main images, right? Is when you break the rules in terms of a main image, it's pretty low risk because the thing that's going to happen is it's not like a performance notification. Amazon's just going to swap out your main image with one of your secondary images. So like if there's one, and I don't recommend ever breaking the rules. I'll tell you what like TOS will say about the rules. But if there is one thing that's pretty low risk, it's testing around with your main image. So yeah, but I think like playing with the orientation of the mask. A lot of these seem to be shooting like from the left side of the horse's face, especially with the models. I'd be curious to see, okay, what would it look like? And go to your photographer. And this is what I do when I go to our team and I'm giving recommendations. Is I say, I have no idea what's going to look good, but I can look at page one and I can see here's what people are doing. So what I want to see is let's take some different shots. No one here is really doing one that's flat on or straight ahead. What would that look like? Does it look better? Does it look worse? Everyone's shooting from the left side of the horse's face. What if we try from the right side? What if we try someone, doing a different arm position? I guess there is a guy dabbing down here, but
They got this guy, this llama. So this
yeah.
one would be, again, you would suggest probably not doing this with the main image though, because this is
Which one?
with this one with the llama. Can you see right here on
See
my
from
screen?
here?
Oh,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it?
yeah. And it's got the text.
Yeah. So this one
Yeah.
particularly.
I mean, so first off, that's against TOS, but I think more
Yeah.
importantly is like it's just an ugly image.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
This is terrible. I actually bought this, I think, but just because it was the only llama mask. But
you
let's
gotta buy
not.
the
I
llama.
love alpacas. But here, beyond that, so this would be where you would not want to break TOS probably of a giant magnifying and text. That's just a
Well,
poor
I mean,
choice.
I mean, I mean. Here's the thing: is like the reason that I think it doesn't look good is because like it's saying, "Oh, hey, see from here." I'm pretty sure. Like, here's what I've done there. I've taken half the available pixel space on this image, or maybe 30%, and I've dedicated it to this little thing, right? And so what I would ask is like, are people buying this really wondering where I'm going to see through? Like, obviously, it's not like a solid mask, and I'm just going to not be able to see. That would be pretty stupid as a product. So like, what's the value add here? Like, if I'm using 30% of the pixel space and I'm going against TOS, I'd better believe that it's going to be something that's going to really help to sell my product or to get people on page one. The other thing
Yeah.
is
Are
like,
they really buying because of the mouth?
right. The other thing too is you got to think like maybe 60, 70% of, all sales on Amazon are coming through a mobile phone. So on my computer, I might be able to see that it says see from here and then see what it's pointing at. But if I'm scrolling through page one, there's a good chance that you're not even gonna be able to see what that's saying. So again, try to make your product occupy the biggest space as possible and then do something to kind of draw the reader's eyes in to get them to click on your listing.
Oh yeah, yeah. So not only that, you got to really optimize for mobile. That's definitely something that I do. So, all right. So if you guys have any more questions about main images, let us know. Do you have any other great insight on the main image that we didn't talk about?
Just make sure it's mobile optimized. Don't overstuff it. Don't try to put a bunch of props in there. Make sure it's purposeful. One other thing I will say, so like bringing a little bit of inside information from working at Amazon. The thing that Amazon cares about most at the end of the day is creating the world's most customer-centric company as possible. And all that means is they want the experience for the customer to be fantastic. They don't care about the sellers. They don't care about anything else. They just care about is the customer, is their buying decision good? So when you're thinking about, okay, what is compliant with TOS versus what is not compliant, or where's Amazon going to kind of turn the eye or turn their head, is if that violation in the main image helps a customer make a better buying decision and it's not going to distract the customer or confuse the customer, then it's probably beneficial. So a good example of this is like if I have a bowl, right? And this bowl, maybe it's like a sealed bowl and it's specifically designed for selling coffee beans, right? Or for storing coffee beans and keeping them fresh. And it's really not designed for anything else. Then in that case, even though Amazon says, hey, you're not really supposed to have props in your main image, if I have the main image and it has coffee beans inside of it, that's going to help me make a better buying decision, because if I just have a normal bowl or a normal storage container, I think, okay, this is just for anything. But if it's specifically designed to be for coffee beans and now I'm showing coffee beans inside of it, if I'm scrolling through page one and I see, oh, this is one of those coffee bean storage bowls, that's going to help me make a better buying decision. Um,
So
versus
that's
like
kind of
trying to
like
be
the
gimmicky.
Jeff Bezos test. So if you're in an elevator with Jeff Bezos and you throw him at your listing, would he be pissed at you or not?
Yeah, like think about it. It's like, and think too, if you were a customer, if I'm showing something in the main image and it's a prop, think, am I legitimately going to believe that if I buy this, that prop is going to come with it? So like, for example, another really good example is like if you have a storage container that, that for you to put lunch items in, like vegetables and, maybe breaks it apart by the different type of vegetables you have. No one's going to expect fresh vegetables to be shipped with their product,
Yeah.
but it does give me an idea of like what is actually included in this. No one's going to think that vegetables are going to come with it, versus if you have like, maybe we were talking about the horse mask earlier with the bow tie, you might actually think reasonably that would be an inclusion, and it might, even if it's not super clear left or right, it might confuse someone, and that's what you don't want to do. Is you don't want to confuse anyone. You don't want to make the decision any more difficult for them to make.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, all right. So that's the first image. That's what you do. You got to like, overview. You got to get them to click. If they don't click, they're never going to come. You want to stick out and you want to be accurate. And then now that only gets them to the listing though. But you got to get that right. So we'll go on to the rest of the photos now. They've cornered the alpaca market.
Oh man, that mask just that's a lot.
They even have creepy party on that guy's shirt. Like
That's
total fail.